This might sound weird, but we can't really afford to talk about the game that much.
What? Why? Was there some crazy news?
Well, yeah, you know, Bell and Rogers, they own TSN and Sportsnet. They're big rivals, right?
Oh, I mean like, that, big time rivals.
Well, they actually joined forces and bought the Leafs. Oh, and Caberlet's a hab.
And then, yes, please do.
What a great goal.
Dude.
Crazy throwing waffles.
Who are you?
Optimus Prime.
Leafs lose 4-2 to the Washington Capitals. But of course, there's other huge news to talk about. Pretty obvious, I'm sure most of you know this by now. I have a new picture! I bought this in Vancouver just before I flew back home to Toronto on March 1st, 2010, the day after Canada won the gold medal at the Olympics. But seriously though, the really big news, I hung the Felix Potvin picture back up. And the Leafs got bought. So let's quickly go through the game and we'll talk about that. This game is why I think plus minus is a silly stat. 8 Leafs were a plus and none were minuses. 10 Capitals were a minus and none were pluses. This is because the Capitals' power play murdered the Leafs' penalty kill with an axe made of lightning, created by the friction between Chuck Norris's eyebrow and hairs whenever he frowns.
Which is always.
Yeah, that power play was effective. But as bad as the Leafs' penalty kill was, their ability to take penalties was great. In the second and third period combined, the Caps got 2 penalties, the Leafs 6! And generally, a good way of killing off a penalty, not taking one. Another key factor that has seemed way more apparent on special teams than it did at any other point in the game, familiarity and just comfortableness. Now the Caps are just getting used to Dale Hunter, but at the same time they know they have the confidence that once they figure out some things, they're gonna be the Caps again. Say what you want about them in the playoffs, but they have what it takes to win their division every year on paper. The Leafs constantly with guys going in and out of the lineup, Colby Armstrong with his first game back in a while, and there still is something off about the team when Reimer's in net. And I don't think that's Reimer's fault. I think that they actually just started getting used to Gustafsson, who was playing some pretty great hockey. And the Leafs' penalty kill stunk at the beginning of the season when Reimer was around. It took them a while to figure it out and finally start improving, and then against the Caps it just folded like a cheap suit. And I am the exact opposite of an X's and O's guy, but I just wonder, Leafs' new assistant coaches heading into the season, Reimer has to kind of get used to them and never really got that chance. And now that he's back, and I'm not saying it's a fault of Reimer's play or the rest of the teams, they just, I don't know, something uncomfortable about them and the way they're gelling. And they also don't quite attack with that, breakaway, Reimer will stop it kind of mentality. And crazy as that was, it worked out for them last season. Positive notes from that game, Phil Kessel scores his 18th to tie himself with Milan Mahalik for the league lead. What? And Cody Franson scores another one. I don't know, kind of like him, he's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Leafs penalty kill stinks. It needs to not stink. You didn't need me to tell you that. Moving on, obviously, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment sold to Bell and Rogers. Pretty odd couple, and as Bob McCowan calls it, the unholy alliance. Now, here's one thing I want to say about it, because a lot of people were tweeting stuff like, well, I hate my Rogers phone, or I hate my Bell phone, therefore, since those things suck, the Leafs are gonna suck. And some people on Twitter would like quip about that and try to make, you know, a little snarky joke. But a lot of people meant it. And there are plenty of nights where the Leafs don't exactly look like they're playing with full bars. But hockey players and cell phone signals aren't exactly the same. I do, however, think it'll be funny that the first time like a Leaf, a Raptor, a Marley, or someone on TFC just starts to struggle, instead of people tweeting like, you suck, it'll be like, my internet's not working. Okay, that last one might not have been a great example because his internet was down, so how would he send it? Anyway, and one other thing, they're just interested in making money and not in winning. I'm gonna quote The Hangover 1. Might have been The Hangover 2, basically the same movie. You are literally too stupid to insult. You know how much more money they would make if they made the playoffs? No, you don't, because that's an inconceivable amount of money to most of us. That's how much they would make. Plus the Marlies, TFC, Raptors, and Blue Jays, if all of those teams, or even if most of those teams make the playoffs, hand over fist! I don't know if it's fair to say whether or not this purchase was a good or a bad thing either way yet. It's just too soon. I will say one good thing about it, and that's that it happened. This has been just hanging above MLSE's head for how long now? But it's done, in the books, let's focus up. And win some rings, son. Last hockey-related thing I would like to talk about in this video, the 2012 World Juniors in Calgary and Edmonton. How do you like my hat? It looks pretty good, except for the part where I'm gonna sue you for copyright infringement. That's my thing. But anyway, the selection camp has started. And I mean, the camp just started. We don't know much about the team yet. Well, we don't know anything about the team because it hasn't been named yet. But I want to know about some of the prospects for your team that have a shot at making this one. Leafs fans, Brad Ross. I think the Bruins have a couple, Dougie Hamilton. Tampa Bay and Anaheim fans are going to have to tell me something about Brett Connolly and Devontae Smith-Pelly. I feel like I saw enough of Devontae Smith-Pelly in the OHL last season to say he's a beast. And if he makes this team, and I see no reason why he wouldn't, he's going to be a huge factor. So questions, thoughts about the World Juniors, no matter who you're cheering for. I want to know what you think about Rogers and Bell combining to purchase MLSE. And I want to know what you think about the Leafs and just what's going on with them. Penalty kill, huh? And if you want to talk about the Caberlet trade, go right ahead. And if you look in the underbar, you'll see my Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Google+, and possibly Candy. See you next game.